7 Secrets of Mindfulness: How to Keep Your Everyday Practice Alive by Carne. Introduction. Mindfulness is a wonderful practice. If you are reading this, then perhaps you have already experienced the spaciousness that arises when your awareness is focusing on His moment. When we offer ourselves the opportunity to pay attention, we discover a new world, sensations, thoughts, emotions, sounds, all of these inform us that our experience is rich and unique and ever-changing. As we pay attention, our curiosity grows, and curiosity helps us let go of judging. An open mind means that we lose the urge to jump to conclusions. Instead, we realize that we have freedom to choose how to respond, what to say, and even which view we take of a situation. The path of mindfulness offers greater appreciation of life, more happiness, less suffering, and even better sleep. And so the question arises, as one student put it, given that I know how much mindfulness has helped me, why do I find it so difficult to practice? This is the question that this book aims to investigate. Resistance is a factor that comes up for everyone who attempts to undertake meditative practice. The word practice is the key. No one ever genuinely understood or benefited from mindfulness just by reading a book or listening to a lecture on the subject. Mindfulness is a practice. Not only that, but it is meant to be a regular practice. This point is illustrated beautifully in an interview given by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who first developed Not only that, but it is meant to be a regular practice. This point is illustrated beautifully in an interview given by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who first developed the mindfulness-based stress reduction program at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center in the late 1970s. He was asked if mindfulness could just be a band-aid. In other words, something that we use occasionally in moments of need. Kabat-Zinn replied, "Mindfulness is definitely not a band-aid. Meditation is like whipping a parachute. You don't want to start whipping the parachute when you are about to jump out of the plane. You want to have been whipping the parachute morning, noon, and night, day in and day out, and then when you need it, it might actually hold you." And so, the way we practice meditation is to do it every day, to carve out some time each day that's just your time for being. These days, people who attend a mindfulness course appreciate that practice is part of a package. In fact, often they attend a course after attempting to learn mindfulness from a book. Perhaps they have even tried listening to the CD that accompanies many mindfulness books. If so, the most common experience that people report is, "I tried to do the practice on my own, but it was difficult." If you have had the good fortune to attend a mindfulness course, you will probably have discovered that going to class does make practicing easier. Having a real person guide us through a meditation captures and attention in a way that a recording cannot. Practicing with a group of other people who are also engaged in paying attention creates a supportive environment and a sense of shared experience. Practicing at home alone is still challenging, but most participants start off with good intentions. Some mindfulness students are immediately eager and committed, but others, whenever they consider practicing, come up against a roadblock. This roadblock can take many forms. There are external obstacles such as a deadline at work, illness, holiday, or even the dog that continuously lick your face every time you lay down on the floor to practice. And then there are the internal ones: boredom, restlessness, doubt, exhaustion, and often simply the feeling that there are other, more important things to do. Some mindfulness students find a way to negotiate their roadblock. Others do not. Those who do not will limp through the rest of the course, feeling a bit guilty, judging themselves harshly, chalking up mindfulness on the shame list, along with all of those failed diets and exercise regimes that would have changed their lives, if only they could stick to them. Obstacles to practice are nothing new. Teachings were created on this subject more than 2 millennia ago for Buddhist monks. These obstacles were called hindrances, and it was said that so long as these hindrances were not abandoned, the monks would be indebted, ailing, imprisoned, enslaved, and traveling in a wilderness. Clearly not a desirable state. The five hindrances that are warned about are sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, remorse and restlessness, doubt. Remedies were prescribed for each of these afflictions. For example, one way for a monk to overcome sensual desire for a lovely young woman was to imagine her body once it was dead and decaying. One of the ways to get rid of torpor was to avoid overeating. And ill will, the teachings say, can be transformed through loving kindness meditation. It's a deeply thoughtful list of hindrances with practical suggestions for overcoming each one. And yet, when I began to teach mindfulness in 2004 and would try in my own mind to relate students' problems to these ancient teachings, there often seemed to be a gap. This is partly because both the hindrances and their remedies were aimed at people living in a monastic community. People on modern mindfulness courses are not monks, and therefore their orientation is different. But it is also because our modern dilemmas includes expectation and distractions such as our smartphones that no one had even dreamed of 2,500 years ago. Therefore, in order to support mindfulness students in the 21st century, it seemed that a new consideration of hindrances might be helpful. Over the years, mindfulness students have repeatedly taught me that hindrances, obstacles, roadblocks, call them what you will, are the big issue. They are the note that all mindfulness practitioners need to know how to unite if they are to keep their practice alive. Without practice, mindfulness does not exist. While the traditional texts on hindrances are interesting, the humble intention of this book is to provide an update. It is not a matter of reinventing the wheel. Rather, the aim is to add a few new spokes. This book will do its best to investigate both the kinds of hindrances that we are likely to face in the midst of our busy lives and the approaches that we need in order to negotiate them. Taking a mindful view, the secret to working with the resistances we encounter is to examine them. We need to understand their size, their purpose, their texture, their roots. Only through this approach of being intimate with them, in fact, allowing this examination of the roadblocks to become our mindfulness practice, can we hope to stop struggling with them or finding ourselves completely overwhelmed by the obstacle they present. To quote a children's song, we can't go under it, we can't go around it, we have to go through it. When resistance arises, we need to learn how to move through it. Moving through can only truly occur when we meet and befriend our obstacles with deep awareness. This book offers some thoughts on what that means and on how to do it skillfully, with the chance to be present for each courageous step that we take along the way.